going to talk about data types. I already hinted at these last time where I gave you the preamble to the research methods module, that's what we're calling them. And I talked a little about bliss, but now I want to go into actual detail because that's what this class is about. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the next slide now. So first I'm going to talk about S data. This is self-judgment or self-report. For a basic definition, this is a person's own evaluation of their personality, of their own personality, not somebody else's, but their own. We usually get this kind of data from questionnaires or surveys. The type of specific question, the way, like the actual scale, can vary. We can use a rating scale where you rate something from like 1 to 10. All those Likert scales you see is all self-report because you're reporting on yourself. We're not seeking peers to tell you how you're feeling, etc. Now, this can also include like open-ended questions, so literally like short answer. Tell me about yourself or about the specific quality in charge. So in terms of how common is this data, this is the most frequent type of data source that we have in psychology because it's prevalent. It's easy. It's the easiest type of data, and it is, as a consequence, the most frequent. It also has high face validity. Now, what do I mean by face validity? Face validity is a definition. Hint. The degree to which an assessment instrument appears to measure what it is intended to measure. I have an entire class called psychological testing where we crawl a lot into the measurement properties of self-report and peer report and all these kinds. There are tons of validity types. But face validity is essentially, does it pass a smell test? Does it look like it's supposed to? Does it feel like it's going to measure what you think it's going to measure? And usually for self-report, it's pretty good face validity because you're literally just asking them about themselves. And yes, face validity smell test. I know it's a terrible joke, but it gives me great joy. Okay, so there are lots of advantages to S data. It's based on a ton of information. You're always with yourself. You know yourself better than anybody else. So you have a unique perspective on your own general nature. And in general, people are usually their own best expert. You know you better than anyone else. And you also kind of nicely, so this builds into our definition of personality, have access to all your thoughts, feelings, and intentions. You have a unique insight into your own mind. You know why you did something. You know what your thoughts are and what your feelings were. Other people have to infer those, but you have direct access, which is very convenient. Now, it also has this neat component called definitional truth. Definitional truth is the data are true by definition if one is assessing what somebody thinks about themselves. So like self-esteem, self-efficacy, those are literally your own perceptions of the aspect, like self-esteem. So by definition, it's a great measure of anything related to the self because it is the self. I know it's a little too tough. Also, other advantages of S data. It has causal force. What do I mean by this? So self-perceptions can create their own reality or truth and influence the goals people set for themselves. So if you have kind of basic self-efficacy expectations, like what do you think you're capable of and what kind of person do you think you are, that's going to have some impact on how you behave. If you think you're capable of something, you'll attempt it. If you think you're not capable, you likely won't. Next, we've got self-verification. So people work to convince others to treat them in a manner that confirms their self-conceptions. And lastly, the most obvious reason, I already hinted at this, is it's super easy and simple to collect. It's also super cheap because you don't need to like scrape data. You don't need to hire a data scientist. You don't need to like pay to access archives for life type data. You don't need peers. You only need one person. And it's less expensive than like any of the kind of ways we measure behavior. We don't have to code anything. It's literally right there. It's simple. It's easy. Now, S data, it has some downsides. It's not all upside. So here are the kind of the big ones. So maybe people won't tell you what their actual information is. So people can't be forced to provide accurate information about themselves. They may not want to brag. They may want to make themselves look better than they really are. Think like a job interview, or they may be ashamed, or there may be social stigma kind of around it. There are lots of reasons. And if anyone has watched House in the many reruns, you'll know that everybody lies. And it's true for self-report data. Like, people are biased. It doesn't have to be always deliberate. They may value their privacy. They may just not want to fill it out. And that's acceptable. It's not ideal because we would like their data, but we can't force people to tell us the truth. There's no way to do it. There's no magical truth serum that works 100% of the time. It doesn't. So that's people maybe won't tell you. Now next, people can't tell you. So beyond like not being willing, they might not be able. So there's this thing called the Fission water effect, where people don't notice their most obvious characteristics because they are always that way. Like, a fish is wet, but you don't hear a fish reporting that it's wet. And so things that are most obvious, like maybe someone has a really high state anxiety, but they've always felt that way. They've never had a situation where they haven't had high levels of anxiety. To them, it's normal. So if you have a scale that asks, are you above average or below average? For you, it's now normal. So even if you have like super high state anxiety, you'll mark that, oh, it's typical, it's average, because for you it is. Now, we also have kind of active distortion of memory. Now, there's some really interesting kind of aspects of this, both like deliberate and just people forget. Like, if you ask me what I ate last Tuesday, I don't even think I could tell you what day of the week, how many days ago Tuesday was. Now, in addition to that, there's also a lack of self-insight. Not just people forgetting, not people just like being oblivious, but narcissists have very little self-insight. It's almost definitional. Nervous habits that you may not be aware of. You'll find that your faculty members who are recording these lectures will use filler words, and they're not aware of it until after they watch a lot of and edit their own videos. So I know I say a lot, and I'm working on it. I'm trying not to use filler words. However, it's going to happen. Just because even with self-insight, it's not perfect. However, other aspects, other things like self-insight, like an alcoholism scale, if you fill that out when you're in total denial that you have a problem, you're going to indicate that you don't have a problem with drinking, even if you do. Now, the biggest downside of self-data, and one reason why I don't like it as much as the other types of data, is it's too simple and too easy. So everybody uses it. Most psychology studies use self-report, and almost exclusively self-report, which has many of these limitations. And it's less helpful when you're covering a topic that, people might be ashamed of, people have incentives to lie or like exaggerate. Everybody uses it, which in turn kind of biases all the research to be with self-report, while peer report and other kinds of reporting, they will give us different information. And so I'm going to talk about the next kind of data type. In the next video, I will discuss informant data. I will see you later.